Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk about what happens when your best, your personal best, is not good enough for some people. So let's get into that topic, and there's multifacets here to it. When I first started YouTube, I was not at my best. I was probably at one of the lowest points. I've been lower, but it was pretty low. I came out of a very toxic work environment. I was sick. My health was starting to recover, and then boom, my mother disappeared. My mother walked out of her house in the middle of the night, disappeared. Nobody had heard from her. Come to find out, she was in an emergency room. She had a sudden forgetful incident, and she had never been diagnosed with dementia in her life. And then suddenly she disappeared. I did a video about it. It was very emotionally charged because you could imagine how it would feel that your mother disappeared and you had no control over that. She's home, she's safe. That's all behind us. But that was in August 2025. Fast forward till now, it's the end of May 2026. I chose to upload videos on YouTube because of everything I was going through and everything I've been through, and I thought my life experience could help somebody else. I just sit here, I'm a talking head. That's basically all I do. I've done a little bit of everything. Farmsteading, or rather homesteading. I don't actually have an active farm. I show my pets. I show stories, things I've been through. And as one person said, my videos are fluid, meaning they have an introduction, a storyline, and then a conclusion, where I often give my opinion, perspective, and advice of, if this happens to you, what would you do? Type of thing. I don't do it for fame. I don't do it for fortune. I'll probably never be a huge YouTuber. I'll probably never have 10,000 views on any of my videos. But I don't care. I didn't start it for that reason. I didn't start it to be an instant success, because if you think about it, why would I want to be an overnight sensation with all the trouble, drama, and everything else that comes with that? I just wanted to be the small town talking head where I can just get things off my chest and possibly help somebody in the meantime. Everybody has struggles, and I'm no exemption. I have struggles every single day. I always try to keep that in mind of what somebody is going through, whether they're mean, nasty, hostile to me, it doesn't matter. I do try to keep that in perspective. Sometimes it's because somebody's hurting. Sometimes it's because they're incapable of being nice. But this person relentlessly commented not on my channel, but on another person's channel. Such hateful, diabolical comments that I had no choice but to stop watching that channel and move on. The content creator of that channel never stepped in, never told this person to knock it off, never blocked their hateful comments. And it wasn't just me. I don't want you to think it was something I was saying or doing, because it wasn't like that. They were doing it to others too. Other people have called them out for it. But it got to the point where every single time I watched this person's video and every single time I commented, no matter what it was, and I always was polite, professional, and kind, this ridiculous character would have something to say. I feel that a content creator has a responsibility. If somebody is on your channel creating hatred for no reason with your subscribers and with the people that regularly watch your videos, you're only hurting yourself. They say that, even hateful comments give you a boost in the search. So I understand from the content creator's point of view why they didn't delete the comments or step in, but it doesn't make sense to me, because if somebody did that on my channel, I would definitely block them, because that's uncalled for, unnecessary. How do you think that person feels that's dedicating their time to watch your channel, dedicating their time to comment to your channel, and then all of a sudden you're getting these hateful comments from another subscriber and you haven't even said anything bad? You're always supportive of the channel. You're always Yahoo and, praising them. No, I'm not one to tolerate anything like that, and I didn't. But I want to tell you what this person actually said, because it got personal and the attacks became vile. The worst attack, and yeah, I call it an attack because there's no other rhyme or reason for it. It doesn't make sense. Now, some people have said, well, just let it go. Okay, that doesn't fly with me. That's a 70s and 80s thing, and I'm not down with that. I believe people have the right to vent, and I believe people have the right to speak up. When somebody's wronging you, you absolutely have the right to speak up, because then they get away with it, and they are the ones that are causing the strife. So no, don't let it go. You need to speak up and tell people, hey, this is happening, and this person is not being nice. You're always going to run into that in life, in general, but it's not okay to tell the victim, and I'm no victim, believe me, but tell the victim, just let it go. No, because then that person literally continues to do it. My experience has shown once you call out a bully, they stop, because most bullies are cowards. So don't just let it go. Call them out. And this is what this person said to me, without knowing who I am, without knowing anything about me, never watching my videos, just making assumptions based on the fact that I told this content creator, way to go, great video. Basically, one time this person uploaded a video which was not about his regular topics. He included a video about something else. And I watched it and I thought, oh yeah, that happened to me too. So I made a comment and I said, you know what? I had that same thing happen, blah, blah, blah. In support of his video. It was nothing hostile, rude, mean. It was in support of. And this nasty character came on and said, well, that just tells me that you're not a frugal person, that you waste money. You're a very wasteful person and you're stupid. I don't really care that the person said that to me. Like, that doesn't bother me. So I don't want the takeaway to be, I'm just sensitive. I don't care. But the fact is, it led up to that, with this person constantly making nasty comments to me every time I commented to this content creator. You would think the person would have stepped in at some point and said, knock it off. What are you doing? She supports my channel. Why are you being so hateful to her? And this person also supported this person's channel. We're on the same team here, people, And that was the defining moment where I'm like, okay, bye. Enough of that. But other people noticed. And I've seen comments online now that talk about this person saying they thought this person was wholesome and genuine at first, but now they realize they're not. So other people are waking up to it because they too have had the experience of this same poster doing what they did to me. Now, I just want to go into that for 1 second. I actually thought about this. It could be a fake posting ID. For years now, people have created fake IDs to post so they're not shown in their true self or use their true name. And they usually make up fictitious, silly names. It's one thing to be a comedian and to, be funny, and I have a sense of humor. I really do. But when you outright call people names like stupid, that's not okay. That doesn't fly with me. And I want to tell you what he was referring to based on a comment. Nothing else, just a comment where I praised the video. Way to go. I had the same experience with something else. That was it. I even gave the video a like. When I worked in corporate America, the job got toxic. The environment got toxic. It wasn't always like that. I started there in a very friendly family environment where the owners were family. The eldest owner had some medical problems, had to resign. Younger people in his family took over with no business experience, with no knowledge of anything about the company. and they ran it into the ground, and to the point where they had to get investors to keep them afloat. They made some terrible, terrible decisions in that company. So now they don't even own the company, the investment group does. Once that happened, the employees were all at the mercy of this investment group who pitched the deal, who pitched the rules and regulations of what we could and could not do. No longer were we praised for doing our best and doing good jobs, but now we're facing any day we could be laid off. Any day, if you didn't make a quota or do what you were supposed to do, or, whatever, it became a very hostile situation. The morale in the company went way down. And then the managers they started to put in positions were terrible people. And I say that wholeheartedly. In my opinion, these were terrible people. These were not good people. So imagine you once worked for a nice family-friendly company where everybody got along, everybody was a team player. Now all of a sudden they start putting these managers in there. Now you're micromanaged. Now you're working 60 to 80 hours a week without a break. But then they turn that on you too and say, you're not supposed to be working that much. But then they demand that you work that much. It was horrible. I decided I'm not going to live my life like that. So I left. But I put things in place first so I could leave. I had other avenues of income and I had other irons in the fire. So it wasn't like I just cold turkey got up one day and said, that's it, I quit. No, I studied, I went back to college, I did other things. And through that, I was able to come out of that okay. So because of that one thing that was going on, I uploaded a video the other day about how I have a relative that's always been a thorn in my side. And I couldn't enjoy the outdoor space at my home. I have a nice yard. I'm an avid gardener. I have flowering trees, shrubs all year long around my property. Well, except in the winter, of course. And I have a front and back porch. Over the years, because of the hostility of this person, one of the things that she does, and it's her thing, I don't know what this is. My opinion, it's paranoia. Okay, I do believe she suffers from mental illness. But one of the things that she does is she drives up and down the road anytime I go outside. And it's not just me. Anytime any one of us go outside here, I could be mowing the lawn. She's out there. I could be weed whacking. She's out there. And when I say she's out there, I don't mean she's in her yard gardening, right? I mean she's actually driving by my house, slowing down, watching me. And I'm not really that close to her property. Like, she's away from me, right? She actually bought binoculars, and I'm not making this up. This is true facts. Everybody in my family know it. She bought binoculars and started spying on me and other neighbors. People actually left the neighborhood because of her. That way she could keep tabs on me if I was inside or outside. And she actually called me up one day and said, you need to put a curtain on your kitchen window because I don't want to see you in the kitchen working at your sink. I have a blind there that I close at night, but I keep it open during the day. There's no way she can even see that window from her house without her binoculars. My neighbors started leaving because of her and got out of here, but I don't have that luxury to just leave. So I adapt. I make accommodations for my lifestyle so that I don't have to look at her. I don't have to think about her. And if she drives by, bye, have a nice day. And I was able to save to get a screened-in porch. And I wanted it for various reasons. I wanted it so that my own kids, who were teenagers at the time, could have outdoor space where they felt safe, comfortable, and not spied on. And not stalked by this woman. Okay, so that was one of the main reasons. Even when I created a teenscape for my kids, I went outside one day, slaved in the hot sun, and I have this flat area in the back that used to be their playground when they were little. And I went out there and I couldn't afford a proper patio or cobblestone seating area. So I got the fake grass things that you get in a roll, like a rug, and they're outdoor and stuff. And I put those all over so that it was soft on their feet and it wasn't dirt or a rock. And then I bought a nice, well, it was inexpensive, but it was nice, with one of those tables with the umbrella and the chairs. They were able to sit out there. And even when I did that, she started walking by my house and standing where she could see up into my backyard into that teenscape. And my kids saw her. So they stopped using it because it freaked them out. That's what I'm talking about. Some people are just inherently strange. They feel that they are the neighborhood police. They feel that they are the neighborhood watch for no reason, without regard of another human being. And that's this woman. That's what she does. Anyway, I decided to screen in my front porch and back porch. At the time, though, I didn't know if I could afford both, so I just did my front. I hired this contractor who was a friend of the family, and great guy. This guy was a great guy. He was huge. He was into, I think it's Taekwondo. Very, very strong guy, athletic, and he was a remodeler, and he gave me a very decent price. It was like half of what it normally costs. So at the time I had the money. He said, I'm going to tell you what, I use this particular vendor to buy the materials. And I'm going to get the materials over, and I'm going to do this porch, and it's going to cost this much money. But I'm not going to charge you for the screen because I already have that at my house from a project he did himself, and he had leftover and he had enough. He's like, so therefore you're going to pay way less than anybody else would charge you. And he started working on the porch, and I was going to work every day. My kids at this point were in school, high school. This was before COVID. And what happened was when he started working on the porch, he saw this woman either coming down the driveway, coming down the road 10 times a day, going back and forth. And then he also saw her walking and just standing there in front of the house, watching him. It freaked him out. Now, he's a contractor, so believe it or not, there's a lot of nosy people in the world, and they do this. A lot of people want to know what somebody's doing. You know, if they have a permit, they're quick to call the town. You start hammering a nail to hang a painting, and they're calling the town. A noise complaint. It's absurd. Some people are just like that. So he was used to that, but he wasn't used to this level where this person was driving up and down, staring. He wasn't used to that. But instead of talking to her, he just went about his business, just kept doing what he does. When I got home one day, he approached me and he said, hey, because usually he would leave at 4, I would get home later, but he stayed that day. And he said, hey, I just want you to know I'm experiencing this really strange thing. This woman keeps driving up and down and staring at me and standing there. Do you know her? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I know exactly who that is. And that's what she does. She's paranoid. I said, I don't know what happened in this woman's life. I actually kind of do know what happened in this woman's life, but this woman has no reason to act like that. She has a cushy life. She is a kept woman. So there is no need for her to act like this to other people. But that's how she is. So my contractor said, well, you know what? Based on that, I don't feel comfortable doing it this way. I'm going to change it up and do it in a way where she can't see in your porch, because I wouldn't want to sit out here with her doing that to you. So I'm going to make it so she can't see you while you're sitting on the porch. And that's exactly what he started doing. He started adding more elements so that if she was in the road, say, she wouldn't be able to look up and see me on my actual porch, because the screens would actually be dark enough to prevent her from seeing in. He told me, he's like, that's not good for anybody. That's not natural. You should have outdoor space that you can enjoy with your family. There's no excuse for this kind of nonsense. So COVID came. He was about halfway done. Now, during this time, if you recall, there was a building boom. Well, at least around here, okay? And we had trouble getting any kind of products for building. People that had a house to build had to wait a year for even things like lumber. Plus, the prices skyrocketed. He was like half done with the porch during this time. He had the screens because he already had that at his house. But the framing things, and I don't know all the technical terms, but all the stuff he needed became in short supply, and he couldn't get it for a long time. So we had to sit and wait until the barges came back into the ports, because it was taking like 6 to 8 weeks to get anything at that point. I don't know if you recall that. So it was horrible. And also, he didn't order a bunch of stuff up front because he didn't really know how much he was going to need. Yeah, he measured, but he didn't want to overbuy. But then something tragic happened. After he started the project and when COVID hit, he passed away. I was feeling defeated. I was feeling at a loss. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. He had relatives that decided to take over his construction company. I had never met these people. I didn't know anything about them, but I trusted them because I trusted him so much. They were good people. They turned out to be really good people. In addition, his handyman stayed on the job because he knew exactly what my contractor had been doing. He knew the materials. He knew everything. And I was so grateful that at least one person was still around that knew exactly what was going on to finish the job. However, they still couldn't get the materials at this point. We had to wait. By the time the materials were available, the price had skyrocketed. It was no longer about the money I had saved for this project. It was now like double. What was I supposed to do? I had a porch that was half finished. I had to finish it. Couldn't leave it like that. I finished it. It's beautiful. I love it. It's my sanctuary. My kids love it. Everybody goes out there. Even my son's girlfriend sits out there with her laptop because she works from home. Everybody loves this space. I also have 4 rescued cats. They love the space. I can keep them out there safely without worry of a coyote coming or any other wild animal. But I built my life to that point. In other words, I chose that. Nobody made me do that. That's what I envisioned for peace. Otherwise, what was the point of staying here? Just like my other neighbors that got up and moved, what would be the point of staying where you're not safe in your own space, where you can't go out and enjoy your outdoors because somebody is harassing you relentlessly or spying on you? So that's why I did it. But I don't have to explain myself to anybody. You see, I don't have to explain that. Who cares? My philosophy is you do you and I'll do me. And if you want something, you can have it too. I don't stop you from getting what you want. Why are you calling me stupid? In addition, she can no longer see us if we're on the porch. So she stopped. To me, that was worth it just for the peace of mind. She doesn't even come around now when I'm outside doing yard work. I cut like 3 trees down last summer. She was never around. Or last fall. Or maybe both. I don't remember. But she was not around. She never stalked me. She never drove up and down. She never stared at me from the yard. It was wonderful because she learned, oh, I can't see her now. Well, now she's on to other people because she was doing it to me, but now she doesn't have that choice. So now she's doing it to others. Whether or not somebody is frugal, whether or not somebody doesn't agree with somebody else's lifestyle, whether or not somebody is just plain mean and nasty and wants to leave a comment being hateful towards another person, not even knowing their story, not even knowing the why, just making judgments on somebody online that they've never met, never talked to. At the end of the day, I'm doing the best I can with what I have, because we all have our own journey. I once lived in an apartment, which I absolutely loved, and I would have never left. But I got a different job, so I moved. This apartment had a butler pantry, a formal dining room, a chandelier made of crystal, and a living room where I had my baby grand piano. I loved that place. Does that make me stupid? No. That makes me comfortable. It's by design. These are my choices by design. I can afford this or not. I can afford this or not. When my last car broke down, I had no choice. I had to get another vehicle. And when I went to the dealership, oh my golly, the prices had skyrocketed. I really couldn't afford anything, but thankfully, because I had always worked more than one job, even though I was working 60 to 80 hours a week, I had a side gig. That was the amount I needed for a car payment. So I was able to apply that to the car payment. It is what it is. It's how we get by. With the food prices high today or higher today, I've had to cut back. It means I can't buy the brand name ground turkey anymore in the $13 package. I have to buy the cheap $2 roll that has no name brand. As far as I know, it's just turkey, but who knows? Probably has some fillers in it. We all do what we have to do. Just because somebody wants to have a nice car doesn't mean they're stupid. Just because somebody wants to have a nice, secure place doesn't mean they're stupid. I subsequently found out that this person actually lives in a junkyard, and that is his life. He lives in a junkyard and he sells things to make pennies to live in a junkyard. That's his right. If that's what he wants to do, who am I to condemn him? I think the bottom line is, just because somebody has something nice, or just because it looks like it's nicer, it doesn't mean it wasn't a struggle to get there. It doesn't mean they're not in a lot of debt. It doesn't mean that they're, just stupid and wasteful. I think it was Whoopi Goldberg in a movie once. If everybody swept their own back porch, the world would be clean. And I agree with that. If we all just focus on making ourselves better, instead of focusing on how stupid you think somebody else is, I think we'd all be better off. Thanks so much for watching today. Take care.